Hi, I'm Vanessa.
I'm Liz.
Welcome to another episode of Screepy, where we talk about our real-life paranormal encounters.
If you're curious about the paranormal, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share our video, and so we can give you guys more of this awesome content.
This episode's going to be the first in a series dedicated to one of our childhood homes, which we're going to call
The Rosecrans house. We moved in about 2001, and the funniest thing that happened, or the weirdest thing that happened as soon as we moved in, it probably wasn't more than a week, and these two old ladies approached the house looking for their friend, and we were there. We had just moved in, so we let them know that their friend was no longer there, that we had barely moved in, and they were telling us that somehow it just came about that their friend's husband had passed away in the house, in one of the rooms.
Yeah.
Now, we don't recall asking them what room. It was a pretty fast conversation, and the women left.
Yeah.
So, with that said, knowing that there was a male person that died in the house, we did notice as soon as weird things started happening in the house that there was definitely a male spirit that was constantly
revolving around my parents' room.
Yes, which was the very first room to your right, entering the hallway. Now, this spirit, he always seemed to be wearing a trench coat, which my dad always wore trench coats too. But this spirit was much taller, and then the biggest difference was that he always had a hat.
Yeah.
And my dad rarely wore hats. So, Vanessa, I think you had the very first experience with seeing the trench coat man, which we ended up nicknaming him Trenchie.
Yeah. Yeah, because in all of our encounters, he was always, wearing the trench coat and the top hat. So I think it was a good
proper
nickname for him. But really quick, so the time that I saw him, which was the first and only time that I got to see him, it was a Saturday morning. Our parents were out, and it was just all 6 girls home. So we did what we always did when we were home alone, which was to play hide and go seek. And so we were all in the living room. I remember I was sitting on the corner of the sofa, which overlooked a good portion of the hallway, and then into my mom's room. Yeah. So I remember sitting there, and we were about to start to figure out who was going to be the counter and all of this. But my older sister, Katia, decided that before we got to play, we really had to do some chores so that our parents wouldn't be mad when they got home. And I remember that kind of made me mad because we all just wanted to play. So I remember rolling my eyes and kind of doing this head motion, like because I was upset. And as I did that, I happened to look straight into my parents' room, and I saw this entity, our Trenchie. He was walking into what would have been my parents' closet. He was actually walking towards me, I guess, but at an angle. And so all I saw was kind of profile. And yeah, he walked right into the closet, and I remember just being so scared and looking back, I locked eyes with Katia, which is our older sister, and I told her, there's something in there. So we both got up our courage, and we walked in there to see if we could see anything, but, like in most of these cases, nothing was out of the norm. There was obviously nothing. We even looked in the closet. There was nothing in the closet. So that was my encounter with him. Yeah.
Now, I know that sometimes my older sister, Caddy, we call her Caddy, she would often see Trenchie walking from the hallway into my parents' bedroom also. Yeah. And I probably mistook him many times for my dad. Because sometimes I would see him and I would think it's my dad, and then next thing you know, I'm looking for my dad, and turns out he was out working or something. Yeah. I think our sister Stephanie one time also saw a male entity. We don't know for sure if it was Trenchy or not, but we had our backyard, and then we had the garage in the back as well, which we had converted temporarily into a studio. So my two older sisters were back there. My little sister Stephanie was out there, and as she was gonna come back into the house, as she was walking towards the steps, she said that towards the right side, we had a small tree, and she could have sworn she saw a man crouched
under the tree.
down under the tree. Of course, she freaked out and ran back in. That's just a few things that have happened in that house. Trenchy was a very frequent sight for us, and I mean, that's the basic of him always walking into my mom's room or walking into the closet.
Yeah, he never really interacted with us. It was more of him just passing by. But you know, it's as a young child.
I think I would categorize him as more of a residual. Haunting.
Yeah, because I don't think he ever did anything to scare us. And if it's true that, you know, what we believe him to be the late husband of
the previous
owner, then I don't see why he would do any harm. You know, they seem to be good people.
Now, we also want to talk about the little girl.
Oh yeah.
Just a disclosure, there was many entities in this property. We came across easy more than 3. So we're gonna have plenty to talk about in other episodes. But in this one, we'll get around to the little girl, which was also a very notable spirit that not only we got to see, but even her husband at the time, when they were barely dating, had a very frightening encounter with.
Yeah.
So, but first, let's get to my dad's story when he was taking a nap, right?
Oh yeah, he was taking a nap, and he says that he opened his eyes, and out of the corner of his eyes, he saw a little girl peeking like this from the kitchen. You know, like behind the wall that would have separated the kitchen and the living space. And so I guess at first he thought it was my youngest sister Myra, but then as soon as he realized that it wasn't, he didn't want to scare off the spirit, so he, you know, smiled and closed his eyes, and he said that a couple seconds after, he opened up his eyes and the little girl was closer. This whole time she had like a playfulness to her, you know. He said that she was smiling the whole time, and so then he would like smile at her and then close his eyes again. And then, you know, repeat the same thing every couple seconds. And each time she would be closer. So this went on until the last time that he opened his eyes and she was like right next to him. Can you imagine? Like, I guess, you know, my dad's a very spiritual person too. So I think this was more intriguing than frightening for him. So when he opened his eyes and found her like looking at him, I guess that kind of was a little too much. So he tried to like sit up, and that's what made her, you know, run away. Yeah, I guess she was like, you know, like she probably got scared of him or something, and she ended up leaving and running away from him.
Kind of back towards the kitchen.
Yeah. She retreated, to where she came from.
Now, in this house, we repeatedly like followed each other around the house without even being there, which I know sounds weird, but we did confuse this little girl a lot with, like she said, our little sister. So I would think chasing my little sister Myra, and it wouldn't be her. I would go into the room talking to her, hey Myra, blah blah, and then there was nobody in the room. Or I'd go into my mom's room following Myra, and it wouldn't be. She wouldn't be home. Which was the biggest thing, and it was frustrating because you wanted to talk to your sister about something, and then you would just end up talking to yourself. Yeah.
I remember Kate had a similar experience. She, I guess, for whatever reason, wanted to talk to Myra that day and thought that she was seeing her, so she started like running, like literally she was running after this little girl who she thought was Myra, and she said she was so close, like the little girl's hair was like moving with because of her running, and that she was like reaching out the whole time, just trying to like grab her by the hair or like by her dress. She was always so close, but still far, out of reach. And so the little girl made a turn into our bedroom, and I guess the door kind of like moved a little bit, like kind of like if she would have closed it behind her. So when Katya went in there, like super aggravated because she had been running after her the whole time, she found herself alone in the room. And then that's when the realization sat in that she was the only one home at the moment.
All right, Screepers. So that pretty much sums up the first episode on the series of the Rosecrans house with the little girl and Trenchie.
If you like what you saw, let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with anybody that you know that is into the paranormal,
so that we can keep on bringing you more Screepy content. Thank you for watching.
Bye.
Bye.